Welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. This is the EV portion. I'm Pete Gruber,
I'm Mark Schaffner. Good morning and welcome, everybody.
and the background behind us is from Doll E. What I asked for was a futuristic news studio with some windows showing a utopian society, and it looks like we've got a monk sitting in the middle of our podcast.
I was thinking that's either a monk or a yogi or something. Well, but you said utopian society.
Uh-huh.
Of course, that's what it's for.
Yeah, very. So that must mean that AI thinks we're going to become very spiritual in the future.
I think it does.
So one of the first news items we wanted to lead with was there was a fire at the Miramar Tesla Service Center, which is in San Diego, and this happened over the weekend. 2:30 in the morning, apparently, the fire trucks were called out, and Friday, no, it's Friday the 13th. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, last week, and four vehicles were engulfed in flames, and they were beginning to. The flames are spreading to the building. Fortunately, the building looked like a block construction, so
Yeah.
there was nothing to really catch hold and ignite.
And we have a picture called Fire that Jesse could put up that shows that. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, there we go. Um, so the it looks like arson was involved, although no one has confirmed that yet. And the other thing that we were looking for was Miramar is not one of the service centers that we're aware of except Tessa Roadster. So we
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that there weren't any roadsters involved in this fire. And so the facts will begin to reveal themselves as the investigation continues. And it'd be a sad thing if it was arson. Why? What's the point?
Well, yeah, exactly. And you would think that, especially in a place like San Diego, California is known to be pretty progressive and very open to the idea of electric vehicles. The types of things that we've seen, coal rolling and stuff like that that occur in other areas of the country don't typically occur here.
Hmm. And anyway, anybody interested in, what's the ratio of fires with EVs? Well, there's an interesting quote here that it is calculated that with more than 19,000 Model S vehicles on the road, there were only three fires, and that's an average of one fire per 6,333 vehicles. So,
And that's an astounding number because the rate for ICE vehicles is somewhere around one for every 150 or so over the vehicle's lifetime.
yep, exactly. So we also have another news item about Fisker. And by the way, if anyone is chiming in, let us know where you're coming in from. It's always interesting to the audience. We tend to have a global presence here, and it's always fun to see what countries people are coming in from.
Sure is.
So here's how this headline read, and this was from Fisker. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. And what they're talking about is a recall that looks like a portion of which will be paid for by the vehicle owners.
Yeah, there are actually five different items or actually five different recalls that the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, or NHTSA, has asked Fisker to correct for its owners. Three of those, simple. There are software defects, and they've told Fisker you're going to need to correct these, and they'll be corrected. The items will be and pushed out over the air to the owners. No cost, pretty easy. The other two items, unfortunately, are hardware-based items, though. And we know Fisker's in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What Fisker has told their clients or their customers is they will be willing to provide the parts at no charge, but they are not going to be able to provide the labor. If the customers want the parts installed, they're going to have to pay somebody.
Of course, makes sense with an absence of employees and independent shops like ours unable to cover the cost of labor since we're not getting reimbursed either. And any business, of course, has costs. We have to pay our employees. There's payroll costs and all the rest that goes with it. So, unfortunately, the owners end up paying.
Yeah, I mean, it's somebody's got to pay for that extra time. Usually, the manufacturer does that, but since Fisker's in Chapter 11, they have the power, as it were, legally to go back to the owners and say, sorry, we don't have the ability or infrastructure, and you're on your own. And the two recalls that are hardware based, one has to do with the door handles. They could stick and fail to open. The other one has to do with the cabin electric water pump. And that water pump, if it malfunctions, it could actually cause a loss of drive power while somebody's driving. So both of them are pretty serious issues.
They are. Is there any speculation about whether even parts will be able to be supplied from an insolvent company?
There is absolutely a lot of speculation about that. Some of the comments at the bottom of this article that I read through said, were people saying, hey, Fisker was getting their parts from Europe by having employees fly to Europe with 2 empty suitcases, fill up the suitcases, and fly back to the United States with suitcases full of parts.
Wow.
They're not, the speculation is, what's Fisker going to do? Are they going to bring back cars that are sitting on dealerships, cannibalize them, and get the parts off of them? Or do they have parts? How are they ever going to truly accomplish?
Right.
It does seem to be an open question, because the uh, on the street consensus is that Fisker probably does not have all the parts that they need to affect these repairs.
Yeah. It's a debacle for sure, and our hearts go out to the owners. I mean, some of these were $80,000 vehicles, and I think you had mentioned that you had a projected price in mind for what these are worth today.
Yeah, for me, I'd pay $253 for a brand new one.
Where'd you come up with that number, Mark?
I just came out of it from thin air. The whole idea is that if I bought the car, I'd be buying it to dismantle it and sell off the components for recycling.
The scrap parts.
After the time it took me to do the dismantling, and the effort and the cost to do the dismantling, I figured $250 or so is about what I'd be left over with. And so it's a worthless car, and it's very unfortunate. It was a beautiful car.
This is probably indicative of the technology in cars these days. You think about it, decades ago, before EVs, if an ICE manufacturer truly went bankrupt to this level, many of these parts are common, they're shared, windshields, for example, may be esoteric, but, windshield wipers, for example, starter motors, alternators, fans, those are usually made by aftermarket vendors. In the world of EVs, you have a lot of proprietary, esoteric parts. And it's a bit different. Where are they going to find replacement parts? Tesla doesn't have anything like that, or the other EV manufacturers.
That's a great question. You think about it. If I had a 1989 Hyundai Sonata was my first new car, and the window regulators went out on it. The windows fall down, and so what do? We went out, my dad and I, into our garage, and we crafted something that we thought could work, because I didn't have the $125 to go get a whole new assembly. And we replaced the broken plastic piece with our own crafted metal piece, and lo and behold, we're good. You take the car apart, throw it together, everything's done, and it was better than what we had to start with.
Right.
You can't do that with these EVs.
No, you mentioned window regulators. There are two examples in those doors on a Tesla that actually have opposing issues. One of them is the window regulator is made by an independent company called Intiva, and they make window regulators for a bunch of different cars. But the proprietary presenting door handle on the Model S, try to find an aftermarket vendor for that, and you're not going to be able to do that.
Never will, because there is a small circuit board integrated with that door handle.
Yep, and a bunch of proprietary parts, from plastic to metal to little gear pawls, and all of that. So yeah, if Tesla were to go bankrupt and you had a door problem, you'd be hurting, because there's no replacement part available.
That's right.
So, but yeah, that's the story on Fisker at this point, and it's going to be interesting to watch how this evolves. We've been contacted to take over some of the service, but again, independents like us, we're not getting reimbursed by an insolvent company. So for us, it's all billable time and materials for the customers, even if they have some warranty from Fisker.
Yeah, I could absolutely see people who own Fisker Oceans bringing us their door handles and saying, "Can you take out the one that's there and put this new one in?"
Yeah, yeah, good point.
On Instagram, Ram SKO3 says hi. So good morning and glad to have you on.
So U.S. registration, EV registrations apparently are up 18% in July. You know, we keep hearing the doom and gloom that EVs are starting to become unpopular, that hybrids are really starting to come back into play, and that that sales are down. And a lot of information is floating out there. But here's an interesting article. Apparently, new electric vehicle registrations surged by 18% in July compared to the same month last year. And it was driven by models primarily the Tesla Cybertruck and the Honda Prologue. And you had mentioned you didn't even know the Prologue. I didn't know it was EV. I thought it was a hybrid as well.
I thought it was a hybrid as well, and I thought, I've been waiting for a Honda EV forever, and now I hear about this and have to look it up. Take a look at it. It's a nice little EV car. It's pretty sharp looking, and I could see based on the look and feel of it, you kind of get the idea of what people like because it doesn't matter if it's a Lexus or a Honda or Toyota or Model Y is a little different, but not a lot. They all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
And sure enough, the Honda Prologue is that same four-door crossover SUV style car, and it's a sharp looking car. It looks really good.
I was test driving an Arctic White Tessa Roadster yesterday morning, and I'm sitting at a light. I had the top off. It was nice. This is the nice weather in Phoenix.
Mhm.
And a guy next to me in an SUV, he's talking to someone on the phone, and I overhear him. He says, "Man, I'm looking at a Tesla, but it's like no Tesla I've ever seen. This thing has this, and this." And of course, the Tesla Roadster is substantially different than the later model Teslas
That
because
is true.
it was designed by a completely different company, one with a sports car, heritage and DNA. So these stats here continue. They say that Tesla saw a 1.2% rise in registrations, breaking a 5-month losing streak with 5,175 Cybertruck deliveries. And then other electric pickups combined sold 5,500 with generous incentives such as the $19,000 on the Kia EV9, all of which boosted sales. So it looks like a turnaround underway.
It definitely does. And one of these EVs I've been kind of keeping my eyes on, and it's same topic but a little different information. The Dodge Ram Revolution
Oh, yeah.
pickup truck. There's a recent article that came out with the latest and greatest. It does look like it's still on the docket. With all of the changes in EV strategy and stuff like that, I was wondering, and then I found a Car and Driver article just updated this week of here's what we know now. The Ram Revolution is it's still on.
Mm-hmm.
500-mile range.
Yeah.
For a pickup truck, that's going to be pretty impressive. And it gets its range by a massive battery though. 262 kilowatt hour battery.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's a lot of battery.
It is.
And
A lot of weight too. Yeah.
it'll be a lot of weight, big heavy truck, but it looks nice. I'm still very intrigued by it. I guess that's how I'll say it.
Well, I've always been impressed with Dodge. They have performance in their DNA, and after the buyout with Stellantis, it looks like their new owners are continuing that tradition. So,
I think so.
yeah. We got a picture here to pop up, Jesse. This one is called Ferrari, and it looks like they are doing some testing with the 100% EV Ferrari, which is scheduled to be released in 2025. We've all kind of been we find it humorous that Ferrari's first attempt at EV was a hybrid, the LaFerrari,
Yes.
and we've worked on 3 of them so far. And you just shake your head and you say, why? You you don't have any room to put the 12-cylinder high-performance drivetrain in there in the first place. Why would you then add an EV drivetrain on top of that?
Right.
And, for minimal gains, actually, if they had put some of that energy into the V12.
This is a Ferrari picture?
It is a Ferrari
It
picture,
is.
yes, and it looks like a Toyota Corolla from the last century or something.
Like a Subaru Outback or something. Huh?
Yeah,
I was thinking one of the little Mitsubishi. Maybe
Yeah.
they took that 3 diamond logo on the front and pasted a triangular Ferrari over the top of it.
right. Well, the speculation is that, let's see if I can get to my notes here. This is not what the car is going to look like. This is just a chassis that they're using to test the motorization of the car.
We hope so, at
We,
least.
we hope definitely, yeah. I think it could be the end of Ferrari and the whole image. It does have some exhaust pipes in the back, and those we if it is a placebo vehicle, then that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, it's going to have fake exhaust, is what the speculation is also.
Okay.
And a lot of people chime in. One of them says that fake exhaust sounds so bad.
Yeah.
And
I like the one that said, you can paint a black horse with white stripes, but that doesn't make it a zebra.
right, exactly. So we're all anxiously waiting to see what Ferrari comes up with, and let's not forget that Ferrari has pulled a lot of rabbits out of the hat many times with design. We all thought that after Enzo went away in the '80s, that the car company would begin to lose its direction, but the exact opposite has been true. They turn out some exquisite machinery. Number of comments coming in. YouTube, Jesper Tomo. Welcome, Jesper. Jesper is a Roadster owner as well, Tessa Roadster in Stockholm, Sweden. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And at 11 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, we're going to have, I'm just looking up at the clock. It says 11 o'clock, right? We're off an hour on our studio clock here. We're going to start the Tessa Roadster. So any of you interested in Tessa Roadster issues, that's always a fun podcast, especially if you own one. Instagram, m3.rero says, hey, Peter, not sure if you remember me. I had the BMS F027 error, and you redirected me to a Facebook group. I just wanted to check in with you and tell you that I have finished that rebuild at 19. Okay. Yeah, that Facebook group, it was Ray Johnson's group. It's now
Yes.
being run by some other people, and it's been enormously successful. It has helped a number of people. A number of service organizations have now emerged from this effort. Paul Erickson, for
Yes.
example. He's actually working on a Cybertruck this morning. I saw him post on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. So he's already out, performing us. We have never actually fixed one or repaired one. We've had them visit our service center,
Yes.
but he seems to be actually working on one.
Wow, that's
so,
impressive. I'm impressed.
yeah. So, yeah, the Ferrari, the final one is talking about the tailpipes on this, what looks like a test car. He says, it's like they know how stupid it all is, so they added ridiculous tailpipes to really show they don't care.
Well, Porsche is famous for its arrogance, that's for sure.
Yeah. Another headline here. Lucid teases new sub $50,000 midsize, possibly called Earth. So not much detail here yet, but there is a picture of it. Jesse, if you can bring up the $50,000 Lucid. It obviously looks quite a bit smaller than what they currently have, which you would expect if it's less expensive. And they call this their upcoming midsize EV. You had mentioned that this would be a game changer, of course, because
I think this could be a real game changer. The way Lucid's going about doing this is different than anyone has approached yet, and it's something you and I have talked about. They're going to limit the range to about 300 miles, is what they're talking about, but they're going to do it by having a smaller battery and super efficient electric motors.
Mhm.
So that way it further drops the cost. It makes the battery change out costs a lot less expensive in the future. And it's going to go head to head with the Model Y. It's got the same lines and the look of the the most popular crossovers in the market today. And if they're able to keep that sub 50,000 price, they're going to be going to head, not just with the Model Y, but with all of the ICE variations crossovers that typically run in that 45,000 to 60,000 range as well.
Right. The article continues. It says previously, Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson said that the company's third model will start at around 48,000. Remember, they only have two so far. We've got the Lucid, the Air, and we've got the Gravity, which is supposed to be released the end of this year, so it's imminent.
Yes.
But and they say that this new sub $50,000 Lucid will go into production in late 2026. So we've got to wait a couple of years.
It will, and there was a Tech Radar article that was also talking about this. To me, the most notable thing is less about what the article talks about. Well, most of them are talking about the same things, and more about the comment here. It says the move to more affordable electric vehicles puts Lucid in prime position to take the fight to Tesla, arguably its closest competitor in terms of vision. Wow.
That's a change. Yeah.
Peter Rawlinson has gotten the independent press to start calling Lucid as Tesla's closest competitor.
Right.
That's a change in attitudes from what I've seen even recently.
And then, of course, you're hearing, a lot of discussion about a superior EV drivetrain, a superior motor design. So Lucid's doing something correctly, it looks like.
It really seems to be. If they are able to live up to that reputation with the Gravity and they end up with a truly superior product, watch out, world. Lucid's on their way.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Van Goat Wagons joined us from TikTok. He says the footage and press from the Hyundai Ioniq 5 at Nürburgring is awesome. I didn't. I wasn't following that, but it looks like they did the 26-mile track, and it was an impressive result. Chime in, Van Goat Wagon. Tell us what the actual run time was. That would be interesting. YouTube, Mustafa El Gamal says, like what you guys do at the shop, my question is in regard to the Tesla drivetrain, especially the old Model S. I don't see much repair replacements on the channel. I mean, internal gear replacements, etc. One of the issues that we have, Mustafa, is we are so busy with Tessa Roadsters. We work on some Model S's for sure, or the other out-of-warranty issues, or things that won't be done at a service center, like pre-contract inspection or pre-purchase inspections, and aftermarket things mounted on the cars. But our exposure to a lot of Tessa Model S isn't quite as voluminous as the Tessa Roadster, where every day the guys are working on them and they're coming in and out every week, and very busy with the Roadster. So that's primarily where our expertise lies.
Well, and also if you think about how auto shops, transmission shops is what I'll use as a comparison to. We go into a drive motor, and we're not going to typically do any kind of disassembly in that drive motor. We're going to send it off to a place that specializes in remanufacturing the drive motor. And then we're going to pick up the refurbished drive motors also from those places as well. Just like you go to AMCO Transmissions, they don't typically do the full rebuild on their own transmissions. Most of the time, they'll send those transmissions off to somebody else who then does the rebuild and then has them available as refurbished transmissions.
Yeah, the specialty shops. And so and then of course you have the other side of it, the other side of the coin, when you get a seriously compromised drivetrain where you've got coolant, in the inverter and in the motor.
Yeah.
It's not cost effective to repair when you can go to just grab a collision damage car and get a good drivetrain out of that.
That is true.
But so the question is we don't have a lot of content out there as how to, and that would be the primary reason. The other part of it is our social media team isn't always omnipresent at Gruber Motor, although that type of work takes place. We're not doing video content continuously. Right. Instagram, M3 Rero says, thanks again. Oh, you're welcome. Instagram, Ralph J. Jr. He says, my friend has an older Tesla S, beautiful condition. The former owner putting a brand new battery in it. I think it was under warranty, but the car only charges up to 30 miles. Okay, so there's an imbalance that is beginning to grow in that pack. Um, if it was a brand new battery pack, there would be an extended warranty on that, the $22,000 version.
Yes. Yes.
If it was a rebuilt, remanufactured, then it would not be as long, and maybe that warranty has expired on that pack.
Maybe or not. It depends. Usually the refurbished packs from Tesla go for about 12 months or so.
Mm-hmm. Van Goatwagen is chiming in about the Ionic run at Nürburgring in Germany. He said they ran twice on one charge and ran some great laps. Drivers were very impressed. Great reviews. Yeah, that's right. With an EV, you're going to run out of charge, and it's not like your ICE engine where you go and fill up, and 3 minutes later you're back on the track.
Right. And at the same time, it's an EV. You're going to get some impressive times, and if it's a well-built EV, you're going to get some pretty impressive handling.
YouTube, Navi Momdad says, hi, thanks for joining us. And then Mostava says, I didn't know that there are specialty shops for Tesla Drive Motor. Let's elaborate on that a bit. It's not like your like the Aramco transmission shops, which are nationwide chains, franchise, and all of that. This is such a new business that typically the people doing this type of work out of their houses oftentimes.
Yeah.
And we have one of those gentlemen here locally that actually does this type of work, right in his 3-car garage. But yeah, there aren't a lot of people out there that are doing this type of work, nor do they advertise heavily. If they did, they would get overwhelmed, just like we do with the sexy cars.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Jesse, is it possible for you to bring up a video that's in a flyover text file? It's a link to the diner that Tesla is developing. And it looks like they're making some great progress with this. It looks like the structure for the 2 screens is up. And they're doing grading now in the parking lot. Gravel's going down, and probably either concrete or asphalt thereafter. And I think it's going to be a landmark, and it may, like most things Tesla, set a new direction for things like gas stations. Instead of going to fill up with gasoline, you go to a diner like this and you can supercharge.
While we're waiting for the video to come up on Instagram, EV Smoke ATX says Austin, Texas, showing EV in love. What you all doing?
Oh, well, thank you. Yep. All right, here we go. We're not going to get any audio, are we, Jesse? No audio. Okay, so we'll just describe then. I listened to parts of it, and you can see the intersection there. There's some grading equipment that is running around.
That diner is coming together nicely, though. Wow.
Very nice, yeah. And you can see the structure there for the 2 screens.
Yep, they've got both screen structures, which means they had some power pole electrical issues.
Mm-hmm.
They had to get electrical moved in order to get the 2 screens put up. Most of the facing, which is stainless steel. I remember we were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
True.
And you can see the stainless steel facing, and that's looking nice as well. They're pretty close to being able to pave that parking lot, it looks like.
Yeah. I don't have any data when the scheduled opening for this is. There we go. We've got some closer ups there.
I was in Los Angeles this summer for vacation, really hoping that this would be a little bit further along so I would be able to go and take some of my own pictures, and found out just before that they were a ways away, so we decided not.
I wonder if the food choices are going to be Tesla burger and SpaceX fish or whatever. And
a good question. Or one of Elon Musk's favorite books is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is going to go ahead and theme it like the Milky Ways restaurant at the end of time.
Thank God for drones. In the last century, you'd have to have a helicopter to do stuff like this. And nowadays, any kid can buy a $200 drone and do these kinds of shots, this kind of quality.
This is incredible.
Yeah. He had to get down low for that. Oh, there's that fascia you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of expense here as well, and going to be interesting to see what the return on investment is. But like most things related to Elon and the companies, it becomes wildly successful. I mean, look at the Cybertruck. I'm still shaking my head and going, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, people love. You know, we have 3 of them in our neighborhood now.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Wow. That is something else. That's just it's a polarizing truck. Either you love it or you hate it.
And Pete,
Yeah.
I saw on Twitter earlier today. I think Whole Mars catalog. One of the guys, one of the Elon supporters, was posted. The number of Cybertrucks delivered last month exceeded the total number of Rivians.
Is
So
that
now
right?
just the Cybertruck alone is being produced at a higher rate than all of the Rivian models combined.
That's just amazing.
Okay, well, we know that Rivian delivers about 55,000 vehicles a year.
Yeah, I think it was
So-
like 5,300 that last month or something is what they did.
Yeah. And there was another article actually that you showed me a couple days ago. Sandy Munro has aligned with a company that is making bulletproof wheels for the Cybertruck.
Yeah, he just founded that company, announced it a couple days ago.
Yeah. Of course, it goes with the original theme that you know, the doors can handle certain caliber bullets,
Sure.
and that the
And-
glass can and maybe can't handle a steel ball depending on velocity and
Yeah.
size.
And Armin is the company that bulletproof vehicles that they were working with. They partnered with. They founded that company together.
Yeah.
And also shout out to 24/7 Tesla. Is where this video came from. It's on their channel.
Thank you. Yes.
So, well, we've got our next podcast coming up in about a half hour, and look forward to seeing everybody at then.
We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining.